Hey everybody, I'm Andres,
I'm Scott.
And I'm Abe.
and this is Between Two Stands, a classical musicians podcast about classical music.
The hardest part of this show
we
is
lost Scott
starting.
We already lost Scott. He's done.
And just wait till the show begins.
Oh boy.
So we have Scott. You kind of asked a question out into the ethos about if anyone has questions for us, and got some responses, right?
You know, it's funny. Like whenever you want a lot of responses that are not helpful at all, you go out online, social media, and you just say, "Hey guys, help me out," and then they don't. But I have to say, in this case, I was pleasantly surprised. So before we get to our wonderful surprise interview later on, we have some questions from the social media, the mailbox. So question number one.
S&M.
Yes. Sure. I have no idea what that might refer to. Question number one.
Social media.
Whom do you hate more? A conductor with no ideas or a conductor with too many ideas? I like this question. I think it's great.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, I feel like we've definitely seen examples of both many times. Some more recent than others. But you know,
names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah, exactly. Let's call them. Let's call him Stewart. You know, I don't even want to say names. Let's call them Mr. Conductor A. You know, I think like overall, you would think that a conductor that doesn't have ideas would be relaxed and it would be a chill experience and you would get out early and all that good stuff. But I think over time it gets old, like you kind of want to be stimulated and challenged. So I mean, I think if I had I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think too many ideas would be my answer.
Hey, what are you going to say? I want your answer.
I think Andres, you were sort of hinting at this, but I think there's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
There are conductors who don't have too many ideas, but still get the orchestra to sound pretty good, right? Because what they're showing with their hands makes sense to us. And so then they can let us out early and we can be like happy. Oh, we sound good and we're getting out early. Yay, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the conductors where like you're rehearsing a piece. It doesn't sound good at all. And then we get let out early anyway.
Right.
And we're like,
right.
And we're like, wait, but there's a whole rest of the whole piece to practice.
And we're gone. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the same time, though, there are some conductors that rehearse to the last second, and you get out of that rehearsal, and it's like, what did we just do? That
I mean,
did
you
not
could
help
definitely
at all.
over rehearse. Yeah, it's like
Right.
That's happened before. Where like sometimes things are better when you just don't overthink it, and if you put a magnifying glass on it and start like really beating a dead horse, it gets in your head, and then it actually can turn out worse than if you just left it alone.
I can't agree with what both of you said, and I'm going to say, just elaborate a little further. I think ideas is carrying a lot of weight in this question. Too many ideas or no ideas. As long as they're about the music, too many ideas, like there's no such thing. Just like, bring it on, let's get in there and fix stuff or explore, and that's okay. But like, if it's not about the music anymore, I'd rather somebody who's going to be ineffective let us out early and not say anything than somebody who's going to be ineffective try to communicate some weird thing that they could be thinking just to entertain themselves.
Right.
And
so, Scott, what was the story you were telling me last week about the conductor who was like trying to describe what they wanted and then
I forget who it was, and I wouldn't say the name even if I remembered.
Was this a Chicago Symphony thing that we were talking
it might
about?
have been.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are famous stories that kind of come, and Chicago seems to be the place they come out of, about orchestras being adversarial towards conductors. And it was like the conductor stopped and was elaborating and going on and on about how the brass section needs to think about, oh, these magnificent trees and large forest and enormous, and one of the brass players like, so louder. And that's a good example of like, well, that's a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So, okay. Consider that
this
question.
I like that. Yeah. So I guess the answer to that is, it depends.
Typically, we hate no ideas more than too many ideas.
Right.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm also happy just to give that an old yes.
Yeah.
On to question 2.
This is a good one.
Have you ever avoided making eye contact with the conductor?
So I'll answer that one. I mean, yes, definitely. But I mean,
all right, asked and answered. We're moving on.
Especially with percussion, I feel like, percussion and modern pieces. There's a lot of funny sounds and funny writing that can go on, and there have been many times that after a rehearsal, not only do we avoid the eye contact, but we just run off stage so that
I actually
no questions can be asked.
I want to ask you a pointed question, Andres. So remember that Pops concert a few years ago where you came crashing in with a gigantic cymbal crash?
Yeah.
Like 4 bars early. So is that a moment where you avoid eye contact, or do you sort of give the old "my bad"?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I mean, that one I'm kind of laughing too hard to really care.
I think I was too.
It was glorious.
Yeah, it was. But there's definitely moments where you're jump in a hole or something. You just put your head down.
Yeah.
Abe.
Yeah.
Is that harder for you being front row? You're basically
Yeah, it can get a little bit intense when you're avoiding eye contact and they're staring right at you, and they're staring right at you, and they know that you're avoiding eye contact. Right?
Yeah.
It can get a little bit awkward up front, but what do you?
It doesn't happen so much in the back. I don't know, Andres. Maybe very specific moments, but
we can get away. Yeah, it's not. I can't imagine being up in the front row, because I feel like the stare would be burning into my soul. You could feel it so much more. Us, we could just put a stand in front of us and just kind of be like.
For those who can't see Andres, he just put something in front of his face.
Right.
But there are other reasons that that I would avoid looking at a conductor. Sometimes they do the most, I'll give them credit, the most musical thing that they could be thinking of, and it's absolutely not helpful to you as a performer. So you kind of just have to conveniently ignore them and make sure you sound the way you're supposed to.
Yeah. Also very difficult up front to miss some of those gestures.
It's they almost got me.
It's almost, yeah, exactly. It's you got to really watch out for some of those moments, and sometimes it's just better not to play at all if you're not sure what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which is an advantage of being a string player, because there's 10 other people that might know what's going on.
Yeah. For Andres, I think that might be a little harder.
Yeah. You just got to own it.
Yeah.
The jingle bell part. Nobody else is playing the jingle bells.
No. Maybe we should have a full section of jingle bells players. Five more people.
Sleigh ride would just get a whole new level, and Mahler 4.
Oh yeah.
Really.
This is a good one. Best prank ever played on a colleague during work hours. I know there's
Hey,
some shenanigans happening in the horn section, dude.
oh
Don't
man,
lie.
there's always there's sneaking a risque photo into somebody's music,
Right.
so they turn the page and then it's surprise. Oh, what is this? And they have to. But I never did that, and I actually haven't seen that, so we're all good. I've only heard of it.
Yeah,
There's a
I've
funny.
got it.
There, oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Andres.
Well, I mean, this isn't that, I mean, it was funny in the moment, but basically, our one of their substitute percussionists, Keith, we snuck like a little piece of when we were on tour in China, they handed out these funny little cartoon fans to keep us cool. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we thought it was funny. We stuffed it in like a piece of music so that when he turned the page, it would pop out. We'd all laugh and blah blah. But it kind of backfired, and like during the most quiet section, he turned the page and it fell out, and it in like the loudest. It just landed like straight on the ground, and it just made this really loud, disruptive sound, and all of us are like, "Shoot, that's not what we intended." But anyway, it
I'm
was
sure
kind of funny.
shoot was the word you used.
Yeah, we used it. Darn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I got to stop cursing because I have a 2-month-old, so I'm practicing with you guys.
Oh, you're doing great.
Dag nabbit.
So I've actually got a personal story about pranks. So I was when I was in Dallas, my first season there, I happened to have the conversation about pranks with the wrong person to have conversations about pranks with, and I just sort of said, do people do pranks in this orchestra? Like, what's the vibe here? And she sort of just said, yeah, occasionally there's a prank, and like didn't think about it. 3 weeks later, I turned the page to the fourth movement of Dvorak 8, and there is a photoshopped naked cowboy on my stand with my face photoshopped onto it, and I just like grabbed it and like stuffed it in my pocket, and just like and I was like beat red for the rest of the performance. And
The
I don't
best
think
part
too-
about that is that I bet you at least 10 people were so excited for you to get to that page. Like,
Yeah.
there were like 8. Yeah, there were like several people just grinning the entire first 3 movements waiting for that.
Right. Well, the funny thing is that page turn happens at the end of the third movement. So and the conductor wanted to go pretty quick into the next movement. So I just did like a quick check during a rest, and I happened to see it like in the middle of the third movement and just took care of it then, as opposed to turning it during the break of the piece and having like all the wind players right behind me see what was on my stand.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was great, and
We should start doing that more to each other.
I think that's good. I think you should have owned it and pretended that you did it for yourself. Like, oh yes, and there's me naked as a cowboy, because that encourages me to play my best.
Sure. As a non-tenured member of the orchestra at that time, I was very much not wanting any blowback.
All right, on to the next question.
This is a serious question.
Talk to us about injuries.
Change of vibe.
Yeah, definitely change of vibe. I know a lot of interesting people. They ask different questions. Talk to us about injuries, the code of silence, and how to recover.
Okay, first off, what is the code of silence? I've never heard of this.
I don't really know either.
I'm guessing that it's like to not tell people that you're injured. Is that kind of what that means? Like to
maybe
how to kind of.
That's kind of where I was going too. Like, how do you hide it so that people don't know?
Right.
I mean,
have you guys been
for some
injured?
instruments than others?
Sorry, Andres?
Have you guys ever had to deal with like a serious performance injury before?
No, I'm lucky in that way. I've overuse, but nothing that was like a day off here or there didn't help.
I mean, I got hurt, I think in my fourth season in Sarasota. I got hurt playing basketball and had to miss the last 6 weeks of the season. I like tore a ligament in my left hand. And then most recently, I fell in a bathtub holding Sam and broke my back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was just last week. No, it wasn't. It was
a couple years ago at this point. But fortunately, it was just like 3 cracked ribs and a cracked. I say broke my back, but it was not.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 cracked ribs, and I had a small fracture on a vertebrae. And fortunately, Sam was okay. Like I just did the old dad hug, and he was fine.
Nice.
But it actually took me quite a long time to get back into shape to be able to even sit the way that I need to sit to play the cello. And so I had to take off more time than I wanted to from work. But
I've gotten like some repetition injuries and overuse injuries, and I sprained my my hand, and I kind of kept playing through that, which kind of leads me to what you were saying of taking time off. I think the best advice I got was like, if you're feeling pain, you have to stop. Even though I know like when people are in the throes of practicing and they're trying to get a job or maybe you have a job and you're playing, but if you're hurting, you just have to take some time off because your body's telling you to
right.
that it needs a break, and if you don't give it that, it'll get worse. And actually that did kind of happen to me. The injury spreads if you're kind of overcompensating, because one thing hurts and you're trying to play a different way, it kind of manifests in different ways. So I think the best advice that I could give is just to take time off if you're feeling pain.
So, I mean, one of the common threads here is, Abe, you said you had was it a ligament that you tore playing basketball? And Andres, you're talking about like repetitive stress and how that can affect you. And for brass players and wind players, it can be either in your hands and fingers or like in your lip. And another thing that happens that a lot of people know about and don't really want to say too much about is the focal dystonia, which is more of I think my understanding is it's more of a neurological condition that has to do with like your body-brain connection and how that operates.
Right. Well, that's also can be a repetitive stress injury, right? Where like you're using the same muscles all the time, and then like the way that our brain learns how to do that motion can almost like there can be kind of a blockage. I mean, I don't know the medical terms, but I was explained this in layman's terms. Exactly. Sort of like a neurological block that doesn't allow your brain to allow your hand or lips to move the way that it needs to.
Is there something that you could do? Is that you need to take a break too, right? I mean, that's
you take a break, and a lot of times you have to relearn that motion in a different somehow in a different way.
Yeah, it can, and that can be career ending, and it has been for many musicians. But one thing that's interesting is the code of silence, and I think that there's a huge emotional weight to everything to playing music. It's so much of a part of us, and it's like an identity as well as a career. It's not necessarily going to work. We carry it with us everywhere. So I think there is a natural tendency to not reveal when we're struggling. And I also think that that's kind of harmful on its own. So if not knowing what it is might be another aspect to perpetuating it, but like the more open people can be about when a struggle is happening, especially if it's injury inducing, I think people could be more open about that. Right. So that we can all get better care, because injuries happen. What we're doing is so intricate, and it's fine motor skills, and we do it a lot. So it's just bound to happen for a good number of people.
Well, and you see it more and more. I always relate to what we do is like pretty athletic on a miniature scale, right? So like you see more and more especially in sports with like players taking games off to rest. You know, as sort of because fatigue can lead to more serious injuries if you're not like warming up and keeping up the strength in your hands or your lips or whatever, you know. So fortunately, I think in the DSO, we have a generous leave policy for any medical things for musicians. So I think that that's something that
But you know, I also felt guilty, like as a student, because my injury actually happened as a student, and it's like, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I would feel that guilt, like, oh, I didn't practice today. Oh, I didn't practice, for 2 days in a row. You know, it's like, it's, you know, and honestly, most of these require more time than that. Like maybe you have to take a week off or more, and like you kind of have to just, you know, I mean, I don't know, you know, Scott, I know you're very into like fitness, and you know, it sucks if you get injured and you have to take time off. Even that is stressful, you know, when you can't, you know, run or go out to the gym, and you feel like you're regressing. But I think it's important to know that you're not regressing. You're doing what's best for your body.
There's also like here and there I've taken a couple days when I feel like my hands are overtired, especially when I was in school preparing for recitals or auditions. And sometimes you can do things like practice away from the instrument, right? Like you can study the scores, you can listen to recordings, you can like imagine mentally what it feels like to play, what you need, right? There's all sorts of different things that we can do. I don't know if it's, I mean, I'm sure for percussion it's the same thing, but
yeah,
maybe you do.
Totally.
Maybe
I mean,
you use your fingers like this.
It's a very
instead of the.
I like the assuming what he does. That's you're probably correct. All right.
Yeah. Just like the triangle, like you just.
Yeah, exactly. or no, but like, and honestly, we all know that taking breaks, you know, sometimes it's you kind of revisit it, and it's sometimes better. So it's tough to do though. It's easier said than done. Like I remember like just feeling so guilty taking time off, you know, but.
Well, I think as a student too, especially if you're injured as a student, there's such a pressure of like, oh, you're going to fall behind. You're not going to make it, and you're not going to be competitive if you take this time off. And it's
right.
It's just so far from true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, move on.
Yeah.
To that answer, I think we can answer that one with a yes as well.
The answer is 7.
The code of silence. 7.
So, changing the mood again, what is your go-to drink after playing Mahler?
I think it's got to be a beer, man. You know, I don't know. In general, it's just like that's like a beer drink. You know,
I think so.
It's a nice beer after, you know.
Spaten would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean, I'm kind of with that. It's what he would have wanted.
He would have wanted
exactly. Exactly.
And you got to pour a little bit out for him too, just a little bit though. This is funny. Right. This is funny, and I think Abe and I should answer it. No. We'll answer it after you, Scott. But
okay.
Exploring spit etiquette and how each instrument gets rid of condensation.
So yeah.
Maybe you should explain that, because people might not even know what goes on back there.
Yeah, well, this has been an interesting thing in the times of COVID, for sure, because it's all been about like the water droplets and particles and everything. But when you play a brass instrument, you're buzzing your lips together with your hot breath into a cold metal instrument. So just like in winter, when you breathe on a window, the condensation forms, only you're doing it a lot more in this instrument, and it gathers and precipitates and basically makes water, and we have like spit valves to empty our horn so that it doesn't interfere with the sound. All brass instruments have this, and so one of the additions we've been doing since the pandemic started, we have those puppy pads now in front of us, which I think is kind of
no way.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm always worried that somebody might get confused and not realize that we actually have restrooms, but so far
You
that
see
hasn't
Dave-
happened.
Dave
Are they
Everson
scented
lifting?
or are they?
Are they what?
Are they scented? Do they change? Do they change color so you know?
Yeah, they got that chemical in it.
Okay.
Like,
You see Dave Everson one morning lifting his left leg up, and you're like, no.
yeah. So, as far as etiquette goes, keep it to yourself. You try not. You don't want to throw it on too many other people.
And I know that for oboe and clarinet, they can get condensation stuck in their keys, right? And then they
Sure.
can cause weird sounds. So they've got swabs, and I think they use like lighter or cigarette paper, right? Or some sort
Yes.
in
Yes.
the keys.
You'll often
Or they'll just blow on the key itself really hard to get the water out.
Oh, that's actually a good thing, because sometimes, like in between a movement, you'll see one of those woodwind players, oboe or clarinet especially, hold their instrument and start blowing on the side of it really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like that.
and it'll make that sound, and that is them trying to blow the condensation out of the key so that they can use that key. Otherwise, it won't make a good seal, and basically eliminates maybe half the notes. So
and if you see like a zigzag cigarette papers, it's for that reason too, not because they're having fun on stage.
Exactly.
And in terms of spit etiquette for cello and percussion player, I think it's just don't spit on anyone you don't like.
for percussionists, it's don't drool. We know you're
Yeah.
bored.
Don't drool. Yeah, exactly.
Right. We usually say that to the violin section. So
Right.
So moving on, since Andreas is out of town, he was unable to join us, but Abe and I are very pleased to present our interview with our music director, Jader Bignamini.
So first, thank you for being here. This is an unbelievable treat for us to be able to ask you our fantastically well thought out questions, or maybe somewhat thought out questions. But first things first, this isn't technically your first season, but it's your first season without the COVID restrictions and as at their height. So how would you say the season's going so far?
Well, the season is going pretty well. I'm so happy. Finally, we don't have our restriction, and it's much easier to work together. And finally, we can do big pieces, big symphonic pieces. It was interesting to have the opportunity to keep the music playing in the past season, and it was an opportunity to me to know closely all of you, to work with maybe 15 people or 20 people. It was interesting. But, I like the big repertoire, and finally we can do it. I was so happy to open our season with Respighi. Is one of my favorite composers. Not just because he's Italian composer, but I love so much their 3 symphonic poems. And I thought that it was the best way to open our real full season. And I think that we are doing a good work, and we are grew up during our first programs. I felt a special atmosphere, and I think we did some more step during the first programs. This is my feeling, especially during Brahms' second. Brahms' second was a very good week for me. I felt very good chemistry, more than ever, and also the color of the orchestra changed, and it was amazing to have the audience in our orchestra hall, of course.
Absolutely. Hearing them applaud in real numbers for the first time was so fantastic.
Yeah, it was an incredible feeling to have the audience back. Yeah, I had goosebumps.
Yeah, it was a very big emotion. And I like also to talk with the audience, but not because I love to talk. I don't love a lot to talk, especially not in Italian language. It's so difficult to me. But I think it's important to explain something before to listen to the pieces for the audience, just to put them in the right mood, in the right atmosphere, to understand something more than just notes. No? We have to give them emotions and maybe some different images. And probably, I don't know, I like to do that for them, for us, because it's so important to give them not just notes, but emotion. We are bringing emotions to them.
So, it's not too often that, an audience gets to hear musicians from the orchestra have a conversation with their music director. And, you've already talked a little bit about some of the work that we're doing within the orchestra. I'm wondering if you could sort of describe for our listeners, what in your mind does a conductor do? We have our own ideas. But
good for you. I don't know if they're the same idea, but no, it's correct to have a good relationship with all of you and to share my thought, because sometimes we have different point of view, and sometimes you play in a different way, and not in the same way that I have in my mind. Sometimes it happens that it's better than my thought.
That's good.
Or you are explaining something through the notes different, and I like to explain you what I have in my mind, or what the composer wants in that point, because maybe there is a beautiful melody, but beautiful melody you can play in probably 1,000 different ways, and it's not a good thing to talk too much during rehearsing, because I remember that when I played in the orchestra and there was a conductor that talk. It was a little boring, but sometimes it's helpful to explain at least your idea, or that you want that detail or another detail, or sometimes it's important to listen to another section, and I have to help you, and because we are a team. I think that I'm like a coach of a team. No,
Right.
I have to motivate you to explain my thought, but during the concert, it's up to you. I can move my baton, but if you don't play, it's not useful, no?
Right.
It's a good thing to explain my thought and what there is in the score, because sometimes someone plays, but just play his part or her part, no? And okay, I have this beautiful long note, so interesting, but maybe,
Right.
yeah, maybe in the horn section, for example. But it's important. Don't talk too much, but to me, it's important to explain something that I have in my mind.
It sounds a little bit like how you said, speaking to the audience, giving some other clue to listen to that might not have automatically been there, to help us maybe combine together in a collective way. It's great. How would you say your life has changed now that you're a music director and not conducting as a guest?
Oh, now is worst than.
I knew it. We won't tell anyone.
No, I'm joking. That is, yes, it changed. It changed because I feel that I have a lot of different responsibilities. not just for the music, but also for the dynamics in the orchestra between you and me. And I have to be that I'm lucky because in this orchestra there is a good atmosphere, and it's not usually in all the orchestra.
We're pretty proud of that, I think.
I think the organization
is
proud of that.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. There is a very good atmosphere, and I can work very relaxed. But as music director, I have to pay attention for the programmation, about the soloist, about other conductors too, and it's a big responsibility because you are a good musicians, and it's correct that you want the high level of soloist, of programmation, of conductors, guest conductors, and I have to pay attention also about this. And when you are a guest conductor, you arrive, conduct your program, and that's it. Stay in your hotel, food, and that's it. Here is a little different, but it's very. I like this because we can build something together and to think for the next 5 years, 10 years, what will happen in this orchestra hall with this orchestra. And yes, not easy. It's first experience to me, but I'm learning, and I think I can do it. Thanks also to our staff, our management. We have incredible people.
Absolutely. We think you can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one question that I have for you that I think I would hope some people would be interested in hearing is how your preparation from week to week is different, or if it is different, then I mean, it seems like you're having to prepare a lot of music, and as do we from week to week, and you're doing tons of it by memory, which I can't even imagine doing.
You don't memorize yours?
No. Do you?
No.
We can try.
So so how is your preparation, if it has, how has it changed? Now that you're.
Yeah, I have my way to study, my special way to study. It's not a secret. The important thing is to have sometimes some days off, and to have your mind very free, and to start for the new next programs. Now after this, I have incredibly 4 weeks off.
Whoa.
Yeah, my wife is so happy. My wife asked me, how many days you stay at home? 4 weeks. Are you joking? But usually, every 3 or 4 weeks, I have at least 1 week off to study the next programs or to continue to study the next programs. Usually in 1 week, I can study usually at least 3 programs.
Wow.
Yeah, I study a lot.
Okay.
I study a lot. Usually 5, 6, 7 hours per day. It's enough.
Yeah.
That is enough.
That's a lot.
Enough. Yeah, but to study by heart is just my way because I want to conduct by heart because to me it's much easier to have a contact with you. I have my way. I study. I count the pages. I count the day, and so divide. Well, like university student, no?
Okay.
Okay, I have 500 pages to study. Okay, 100 per day. Okay.
I see.
100 per day is it's a lot. It's a lot. Usually
I had like 8 pages one day.
You should do that.
Now, usually, I have to be honest. Usually, I prefer to stay maximum 60 pages per day.
Okay.
60 pages per day are enough. When I have more than 60 pages per day, I have to work so hard. I studied my pages, and then stopped. I break for 1 hour, and then I repeat the same pages. I check if I can remember by heart. And then, the day after, before to study the new 60 pages, I check if I remember the pages of the day before.
Okay.
If it works, I can continue. I started the new 60 pages, break for 1 hour, and then I check if I remember these 60 pages. The day after, I check just the pages of the day before, not 2 days before. And every day in this way. If I have more than 1 week, after 1 week, I check the pages that I studied 1 week before. And then the pages that I studied the day before, and then I started to study the new pages.
Okay.
If I have more than 1 month, after 1 month, I have to check what I studied 1 month before, what I studied 1 week before, what I studied 1 day before, and then continue. This is not my invention. It's a method for memorizing.
Okay.
And it works for now.
How long did it take you to get in that? Did it work immediately, or was that something that took a lot of practice in itself for it to?
No, I have to be honest. I don't practice my gesture at home when I'm studying. I practice just sometimes when I check my memorization, but not too much. Just to have an idea. Okay, this is because sometimes it's funny to have a recording, and maybe I put my recording just a very clear recording. Maybe I have in my mind different tempi, different dynamics, but it doesn't care. But with a good recording, high quality recording, I can understand if I remember. Okay, now there is cello. Next bar there is third horn. Next bar there is clarinet. Okay, now stop Corona, and now start. Just few movement, not too much. When I was so young, I conducted in my room with a stereo, bombastic. Yeah, when I remember when I studied first time Aida, I was so young, and when I repeat all the opera, and I conducted exactly like with the orchestra, and when I finished all the opera, I was completely wet, and my wife told me, "What happened?" I studied, but I was completely wet, like an athlete.
Yeah.
Not now. Now I just little gesture, and that's it. But during your life, you understand that sometimes you don't need to do a lot of movement. It's enough to have to be very precise, and when the orchestra needs help, you have to do it. Sometimes you don't have to move too much because don't disturb the orchestra. You can do much better without me.
Don't disturb the orchestra. I
Yeah,
like that.
it's the first rule for conductors. Don't disturb the orchestra.
That's pretty good.
So you mentioned before that you're going to be home for a full month, and this is the first time in how long? You've been. When's the last time you were home?
No, I were at home 2 weeks ago before to come here because I canceled some concert in China.
Okay.
Yeah, it is so difficult for quarantine and something like that. I canceled. Yeah, but I spent a lot of time out of home. Yes, of course. It's life. But it's okay. I have a wonderful wife. She understands. Sometimes we are together. She take her flight and come with me. I have 2 children. My daughter studies in Florence. My son studies in Milan.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, they are so 17 and 19.
Okay. Are they able to come to Detroit anytime this season, or?
Let's see now, because it was so difficult until the past month. It was not possible to travel. But especially my daughter plays trumpet and wants to come here. and she's also fan of Hilary Hahn, and she wanted to come, but it was not possible. But for sure, they will come.
Yeah, that'll happen again. One thing that we definitely wanted to talk about was the tour. We're coming up. We're traveling together. You are taking us to Florida. So, what are you excited about with us being on the road touring?
Yeah, the first thing that I think is so important to have a tour together, that we spend a lot of time together, and not just on stage. On stage, of course, but I hope we will have a chance to spend some time together also after the concert. Yeah, because the feeling is that we can create is so important. When you have a very good feeling, a very good relationship, also out of stage. On stage, I think is much better. It's much better. I remember when I started to conduct my former orchestra, they were everyone on stage, my former colleagues, and I had a very good feeling with all of them. Maybe not all, but mostly. And it was much easy to conduct that orchestra because I knew everyone, and it's so important to have to know all of you also out of stage.
Beach time. White Sand Beach.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Volleyball tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the important thing that I'm the music director, of course, and but when I'm on the podium, I'm the conductor, and the important thing that we have a good feeling, and everyone respect our position, no? But after the concert, we can drink a beer together.
That sounds like a plan.
I'm in for sure.
Well, so from when you're on tour, there's sort of these musical accomplishments from within the orchestra, but also, the orchestra, you're trying to make a statement about, to the public about, right? What do you think would be like a musical achievement from within the orchestra, but also what statement are we trying to make?
So the opportunity to do more concerts with more or less the same pieces, I think we will arrive at that point that probably you don't need me technically.
Right.
And I hope we will feel so free to put all our musicality on stage and during our execution, and we can change something. Depend the day, depend the air, depend, no? And I'm sure that we will feel so free musically, and there will be a very good connection, I'm sure, because after 3, 4, 5 concerts,
right,
I don't like the routine, and surely I will change something.
Keep us on our toes.
When I'm here in 3 concerts, I change every time I change, but it's not a joke. It's because depend of the night, depend of my feeling. I slept well or not, or I'm starving.
Yeah, you had some coffee before.
And also with the soloist, we did 3 incredible concerts with Hilary.
Very different.
Very different, completely different. And she told me after the last concert that was incredibly impressed about the orchestra. She told me, "Oh wow, they follow you and they follow me, and very good feeling." And I felt free to do everything.
Yeah.
You can imagine after 4, 5, 6 concerts.
Right.
Well, and also a piece like Brahms' Second Symphony, something that many of us have played many, many times, to make it a unified thing amongst all the different members of the orchestra is kind of difficult. It takes a little bit of time.
Right.
So that will be
It'll be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and the most difficult thing when you do very famous masterpiece like Brahms' Second is that the orchestra know very well, and the conductor sometimes is conducting the air, and you have to convince all the orchestra that we have to move this, no? And it's the same thing when I conduct, I don't know, Traviata or Trovato. Every orchestra in the opera theater knows Traviata. Okay, you can do this, you can do this, and go away. They play. But if you want to put something about yourself in that execution, you have to convince them that is not the right way, but is the probably the best way in that moment.
Right.
To make that piece in that way.
So, Florida, and then where to?
After Florida,
Yes.
I go back in Italy.
Sorry, the next tour that might happen in the future.
The next tour. You are curious.
Always. Any ideas?
We have a lot of ideas. We have to continue to grow up, and probably in the next 3 years, probably, we can think another tour. I don't know where, I can tell you.
Okay.
But I think it's important to grow up and to show to all the world what happened here. And I think probably in 2-3 years, the orchestra, you are very good. But we can improve.
Well,
of course, everyone can improve. Me too, of course. And after 2 or 3 years, I think we are ready to show what happened.
Fair enough.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. So when we're in Florida, in the Everglades, there's lots of alligators. Are you planning to take some time to go visit the alligators?
I never seen an alligator.
Oh, really?
No, live, no.
Oh.
No.
Sometimes when we're driving around.
But they are so big.
Yeah.
They can be.
They can be.
They start out about.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Someone eat also.
Yeah.
yes.
So I mean, you've never eaten alligator?
No.
It would be a very Florida thing if you could find it. We should.
Have you
try
never
it.
tried?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like a.
And you?
Yes.
And the taste is?
You said it's like chicken and crab.
Yeah, it's like
almost.
Chicken and crab.
Almost.
like mixed almost.
Yeah. It's usually fried, so it's a little hard to identify.
Fried, everything is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Fried Twinkies, fried Oreos. Right?
Okay. Have you had a fried Twinkie?
Yes.
They're great.
The Texas State Fair. Yeah.
But I can try. I'm curious. Well,
We'll have to see if we can arrange that.
Oh.
It'd be a little bit more delicious than mac and weenie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the swamp area,
we
you
can
have to
organize a barbecue with alligator.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh, that would be fantastic. A giant grill.
Yeah.
Oh. So, one other funny thing. Have you ever heard of the Florida Man Challenge?
No, I never heard about this. I don't know what this is.
It's very silly. All you need is your birthday. So, if you don't mind being an example.
I saved my examples already.
Okay, what is your Florida Man Challenge?
So the Florida Man Challenge, you put Florida Man in Google, right? You'll say Florida Man.
Okay.
My birthday's October 1st.
Okay.
So I said October 1st, Florida Man. And there's a headline, and it reads, Florida Man arrested for throwing the Bible at deputies.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Okay.
You just search, and then there's one for the other ones I saved, which were really funny. Florida man accused of using Kool-Aid packets to steal nearly $1,000 in Walmart merchandise.
Okay. Florida man, June 30th.
Okay.
June 30th. Okay.
Let's look
Are
it
you-
up.
Are you looking up?
Yeah,
the
I
other
got
one
it.
that I really liked that's not my birthday, but it really caught my eyes. Drunken Florida man tries to use taco as an ID after his car catches fire at Taco Bell.
Oh, this is good.
This is good.
Okay.
I'm scared.
I apologize. This says Florida man sits on gun, shoots self in police say.
We're going to have to edit that one out, I think.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Wait, let's see if there's another one.
That's got to be the best one.
Probably the second is worst.
That's great. Well, the first thing that says is, yes, a Florida man is actually accused of hiding meth inside this body part. So both of those are pretty good. Mine is Florida man breaks into home, gets sleepy, and is caught napping on couch.
Okay.
So there you go.
Pretty tame. I don't know.
Who
June
invented this game?
I have no clue. It's just sort of like an
And
internet
why
thing.
Florida man and not another?
Well, that's a good question. Because if you do it with any other state, equally crazy things have happened. But Florida's sort of known for having some outrageous,
Personalities.
yeah, personalities, and because of like the swamp and the climate, and a lot of people come there from other parts of the country and party. I think there are different types of news stories that seem
Yeah.
to creep up.
Interesting.
So that's
I mean, we were talking about this when we were planning our conversation with you. We were talking about this and with Andres too, and we were like looking at each other's birthdays and stuff. But June 30th, that has got to be the best one so far. I mean, of all the ones that we've.
that is just wonderful.
It was just perfect. Yeah.
And then it made the news. Like the reporters got to hear about this one.
Yeah. And it happened on Yader's birthday.
That's true. Thank you for playing the Florida Man Challenge with us.
We'll get it approved before we air it.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
That's the beauty about this not being live.
Okay.
Yeah. We won't get in trouble. Well, we might.
We
you
might.
won't get in trouble. Should we move on to the Between Two Stands quiz?
I think it's a good time. So, as we've been, this show came about during the pandemic, and it started off as a Facebook.
Not about food this time.
Not about
food this time.
Yeah, we'll spare you. Last time, I think you're still recovering.
I really wanted to serve you a bowl of macaroni. Remember the mac and cheese with the hot dog on top? I really want it, but I don't know. With the kitchen out, didn't make sense.
We were talking about Coney Island, and
yeah.
Never again. No, never again.
Yeah, that's probably everybody's response to Coney Island. Never again. But then some people, they can't resist.
Right. So we, during the pandemic, we got all these shows that are airing every other week on Facebook, and we noticed that you liked them, right? You pushed like from your Facebook profile. So we thought, does he really watch every episode? So we have a quiz for you as to see how big a fan you truly are of Between Two Stands.
This is important. No, it isn't.
This is the most. I mean,
I saw the first episode during pandemic.
Okay.
Oh, good.
When I restarted to work, I have to be honest. I lost something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, question number 1.
Oh wow.
Who is Abe's son's favorite artist? And for a bonus, what is Abe's son's name?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
His favorite artist is Raffi. Kids songs.
Okay.
His name is Sam.
He likes Baby Beluga, but he only likes it when Yo-Yo Ma is playing the cello part, and
Right.
not when Daddy is playing the cello part.
Right. He said, I started playing the melody for him one time. He said, "No, Daddy, no, Yo-Yo Ma."
Very honest.
Okay. Why is Andres not here today?
Because he became dead.
Yes.
That's one.
Yes. Okay. You got 1 point. Okay. Now this is a really good one. What is Scott's famous description of what a horn really is? There was an episode where he described a horn, and he did something like this, spinning it above his head.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Okay, the answer is a whirly tube, which I'll show you.
whirly tube.
I'll show
whirly
you a
tube.
picture. They look like it's like this. It's plastic with ridges, and you.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I was describing. The harmonic series. It's like can't trust him with anything.
I know.
Yeah, I know the instrument. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There. Okay. So that's 1 point so far.
Right.
Now, what piece did we ask everyone at the end of their interviews to sing during season 1?
Norito Springs.
Yes.
That's correct.
Awesome. Okay, now there was an episode where we discussed which composers we would want to punch in the face. Can you name the 3 composers?
No, I don't know.
So Scott's was Chopin.
Yeah. I love his piano. Orchestra, he could have done better. And so,
Yeah. Mine was Brahms. Only because he burned so much of his music.
True.
Yeah. It's like, it wasn't up to his standards, but it still would have been so good.
And the third?
So, and Andres was Bruckner.
Bruckner.
yeah, percussionist. He has
Yeah,
to wait
of
so long.
He waits so long and plays one thing.
So we just have one more thing, and it's first off, thank you so much again. This is a joy for us, and really unusual for you to give us this kind of time.
And thank you for indulging us in our stupid questions.
But we were just wondering,
Don't do that during rehearsal.
Those come from other people.
Yes, right. So we just wanted to end. Do you have any a favorite conductor joke or a conductor story that you'd like to share?
No, I like, but you already seen that I like sometimes before the last note to stop my gesture. No, you saw that.
Just to see if we fall in the hole.
Just to be sure that mostly the orchestra is looking at me.
That's terrible though.
Yeah.
Because there's always one person honk,
Tam, and someone play.
Right. Right.
and then they look up.
And the other thing that, but it's not a real joke, but when I asked you to play without me, is it seems a joke, but it's a way to give you the opportunity to use your ears and not your eyes.
Fair
I like
enough.
it.
Fair enough.
It's very helpful.
It is.
Well, thank you so much. I
Thank
think
you
we
so
can end
much.
it there, but
Thank you.
we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome interview, guys. That was awesome. That was really, really good.
It's so fantastic that he puts up with us.
We asked him some really dumb questions.
Florida Man challenge is always entertaining. Hopefully we could see what other instruments Florida Man challenge is for them, because that'd be funny to continue that.
Well, I think it's really amazing that he has taken the time to talk to us, right, and to give a little bit of insight to our audience on what we're doing on stage, and the kinds of aspirations that he has for himself as a musician and for us as an orchestra, both musically and with what he wants to accomplish. So I think it's I don't know a lot of other music directors that would take an hour out of the day to do that. So I'm really happy he did.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Well, But also, I think it speaks to what he was saying about how he wants us to be close. He thinks that an orchestra that can be close off stage helps them play better on stage, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But so we have the tour coming up.
Right.
It's about to happen. What else is going on?
So January, the first week of January, we're back with Pop's concert and Neighborhood Chamber Orchestra with Dmitry Sinkovsky. So that'll be a lot of fun. He's a countertenor and violinist, and it's really amazing what he can do. And then the following week is the send-off concert. We're doing a Dvorak concerto, pictures.
That's right. Here, our tour rep before we take it to Florida.
Exactly. And then we're in Florida for the rest of that week and the following week. And then the last week of January, Dmitry Sinkovsky is back for a full orchestra neighborhood concert, which, if you go to dso.org, you can find all the tickets and information on the concerts there.
Fantastic. I hope to see y'all there.
Thank you, guys. Good.